Celebrate the wins, the milestones, the big, the small and gigantic moments that make you proud. These moments motivate, inspire and see you achieving far more than you ever imagined. And today, we're on top of the world. This is the 50th recording of our podcast. Yep, our 50th episode. Woo-hoo! I'm Karen.
And I am Nuala. And we are the Safety Collaborators.
Our mission is to help people have better conversations and change the way they think about safety. Consider us your thinking partners, sharing expertise and wisdom in everything safety, safety culture, and psychological safety.
Today we're going to celebrate a milestone that has felt at times like a momentous challenge, an uphill battle, and has made us question our sanity on more than one occasion.
Hell yeah.
It has also been an inspiration, a motivator, and solidified our determination. Because if we can get to 50, we can keep going. And here we are. I am so proud of you.
And I am proud of you.
Keeping me motivated.
We had our moments. We definitely had a little whoopsie sort of November. Funny enough, about this, just after this time last year.
This time last year, yeah.
And it was just like, no. And then in January, I was like, no, we've got to do it. We've just got to get back there. And it was, and here we are, raring to do another 50.
And it started off as a good idea because we were like, you more than me, because I think you were the one who embraced podcasts and podcasting and the whole what it was about before me. And you were like, how do we share our wisdom? How do we get out there what's in our heads, not just to the clients that we engage with directly, but actually to you?
The wider audience.
How do we help you grow and learn? And we've grown and learned in this journey. It's been exciting to get feedback from the people who listen and who comment and say, oh, I've used this, that episode was so valuable. I've implemented it on site and I've seen a difference with what's happened with the team I'm working with. And the journey, it's had some highs and lows and detours along the way, but it's been really, really good to get to the big 50.
I think we're both proud, and also we talk about it differently now. It helps us to confirm what we know or don't know, whatever the case.
Well, I love it that sometimes we'll go back and listen to a podcast and go, Sherbet, usually not in that word, but that was good.
It was actually pretty good, right? I think also something to mention here is for you listening, you can read this as well. So we have what I endearingly call a pod blog. So we record our podcast, but from that we actually turn it into a blog post. So it's not just a transcript. It's actually, our show notes are a proper article, post, blog post, whatever you prefer to call it. And it'll have images and it'll have all the bits that you need to get even more learning from each episode. So do go back and listen to whatever episode you like. And on that note, we thought we would celebrate by sharing some of the highlights, both the ones we enjoyed, but more importantly, the ones that you obviously enjoy. Because some episodes get more likes and hits and downloads than others. The interesting thing with podcasts is that they kind of grow. The longer they're out in the world, they tend to grow. But some grow more than others. And as you said a minute ago, there is nothing nicer than someone coming up, some random person going, oh yeah, I love listening to that. It's a great episode or it's a great podcast. I get a lot from it. And you're like, oh wow.
Woo-hoo.
Oh wow. That's really humbling and lovely, So we're sticking to it.
That we are. So what have been our top 3 episodes, or it might be series, so far that both we've loved and you've loved out there?
And I think this particular series we actually really enjoyed recording. I mean, we enjoy all of them, but I think some a little more than others. And we definitely enjoyed these three. And this was a 3-part series on the 5 principles of human performance. And we've got written here, win the popularity contest so far. So we love that you want to learn more. A little recap on the principles. So what are the 5 principles? As per Todd Conklin and his book, The 5 Principles of Human Performance. 1, error is normal. Even the best people make mistakes. 2, blame fixes nothing. Better to learn than to blame. 3, learning and improving are vital. Learning becomes deliberate. So as we're improving all the time, let's be deliberate about what we learn from our mistakes or from the questions that we ask. 4, context influences behaviour, meaning our systems drive our outcomes. So think about the systems that you put in place. Do they aid the worker or do they detract? Do they contribute to failure or the behaviours that you're seeing? And 5, how you respond to failure matters. How leaders act and respond makes a hell of a difference. If somebody raises their hand or they've made a slight mistake or something like that, and as a leader, if you're a bit dismissive or you sort of shut them down or worse, tell someone they're an idiot, whatever, then you're not going to get the outcome you want. So how you respond matters an awful lot. So for a deep dive, enjoy episodes 16, 17 and 18. I cannot believe that they are such little numbers.
I know, and that was so long ago.
I know. So, what's next?
Well, I think one of the ones that really stood out for me was episode 35, and it's being proactive. Red, green, and blue money, it's not what you think. And maybe that's also because, for a change, it was with you and our co-host Andrew Burton, because I was away over that. And it was lovely for me to come in as a learner and as a listener without having been involved in the actual recording. So I was like, ooh. But more importantly, I really learned, because I was like, well, what is red, green and blue money? Like, I have no idea. And, in that, you and Andrew really explore what stops people from being proactive around safety.
Yeah.
So how are we not actually stopping things before they even start? And I loved, the whole episode, and then getting into encouraging people to spend more blue money. The small amount that could have been spent up front to prevent the loss from happening in the first place.
Yeah.
And there is so much more around that. So hopefully, if you haven't listened to episode 35, that's enough of a teaser to go back and really go, oh, I'd like to learn a bit more about being proactive, red, green and blue money.
And interestingly, I think, carrying on from that, another one was it seems that everybody's quite keen to improve their active listening skills. So in episode 30, which was Improve Your Communication Style, 5 tips for active listening without interruption.
Key word there.
We had a chinwag about that very subject. And for those who don't know what chinwag means, it just means a conversation. It might be a bit of an Australianism. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it works. So we're delighted that you found that so valuable, because listening without interrupting is a skill that isn't encouraged enough. We as humans are very busy listening to our own listening, meaning as soon as we ask a question, we often think we've got the answer and we interrupt those people in front of us instead of just listening to the end. They may not speak at your pace, be hearing exactly what you need, but if you're listening, you will know what you need to do next by the time they're finished.
Yep. Exactly. And I think one of the key ones in that was around listening to understand, not listening to think what you want to respond.
Absolutely. So we encourage you to go back to episode 30 and hear more about that.
The next one I was thinking about that could be enjoyable to discuss is what have been our most fun to record.
So
I'm going to let you kick off with which was your kind of most fun moment.
I think there's quite a few, but I think, interestingly enough, the very first episode we ever recorded, which, by the way, and don't panic, it was 2.5 hours long.
Was being the operative word here, but wait.
And that was...
It got broken down.
It did. We split it into 3, And they were really all about how to improve your safety culture through intercultural intelligence. They are episodes 1, 2, and 3. And we, honestly, I think what I love about those 3, we really had no clue what we were doing. It was just fun.
No.
We were just having a really good conversation. And that's how the podcast got born, really. We thought, well, if we could do that for that, we can do it for more. It was a bit of a journey to get that 3-part series into the world. It took another 8 months, but that's another story. So,
well,
yeah,
it's a bit like why Cape Town is called the mother city, because it takes 9 months for anything to happen. So, hey, we snuck it in a month earlier.
Hey, it was premature. There you go. Yeah, so I think that was fun. I think the series, I actually really enjoyed doing the CIQ series, the conversational intelligence ones.
Very much so.
The 5-part series there on CIQ. That was kind of fun.
Well, it was fun, but it was also, I think, reigniting and re-inspiring for us. And I think so often in business, regardless of what it is that you do, you learn and you implement something, and then the next shiny object comes along and you forget about what you've learned. And what I loved around that series is that it really reignited my passion for conversational intelligence. And as we were reworking through it, all these light bulbs just started coming back on for me. And I was like, oh, wow, there is so much depth and so much value in the wisdom we get to share around sharing conversational intelligence.
Indeed there is. Thank you, Judith E. Glaser, who is the mother of conversational intelligence. So, Nuala, why is a safety coach compared to an underwire bra?
Well, I love it that when we mention this podcast, it can make grown men blush, as it did recently at a safety conference.
It did.
So often, safety coaches, they're seen on site, their impact is felt, but what they actually do, people go, I mean, I've had that question a few times. We love having you here and we really feel you add value, but we don't actually know what you do. And that's where this episode was inspired by, is that, we work as safety coaches, we work diligently at the back of the scene to create an environment where the people who are doing the work and the leaders who are involved in the teams can shine and be their best. We're the supporting role in the background. And, that's where we spoke about and related it to the invisible underwire bra of safety. And there's a whole lot more in that episode, and that's episode 27. And it's one of those, I think we actually have a good giggle throughout that one. So grab a cup of coffee if you're going, with any of them. But this is a good one to grab a cup of coffee with. And let me know your thoughts. I would love to know what you think about safety coaches being described as the underwire bra in safety.
Indeed.
Especially all the male safety coaches out there. They do give me a little bit of a hairy eyeball when I mention it like that.
Those were the days when you walk around and people say, well, I don't know, you sprinkle your fairy dust. Yeah, that's what we do.
Exactly.
That's what we do.
Yep.
The magic dust. Yeah. Our greatest lessons and takeaways, we practice what we preach. We ask for help and we build a good team around us. So there isn't just Nuala and I on this escapade that we're on called podcasting. Yeah, we get the grand titles of being podcasters, but we have Ted, who does all the magic with the audio. We have Catrina, our third business partner, who you probably don't hear that often about, but she's the one that helps put it all together on the website and takes the translations and converts them into our blogs, the written word. So we need a team, and it takes a team to get this together. It certainly does.
It really does. So they are the ones sprinkling fairy dust for us in the background.
Absolutely. They are definitely our support for us.
And I think that brings it into the next kind of point, which is around share the load.
Yeah.
There's some days where just even building up to the podcast, we've got our whole ideas list, but there's some days where I feel inspired and I can put a whole lot of content into that and do the research and go, this is what's exciting me. And there are other days where I just feel like, oh my gosh, okay, I don't know if I've got the energy or the motivation to record today. You then take over and go, okay, don't worry, I've got this. And again, a big thank you to Kat and to Ted in the background. I definitely wouldn't do it without them.
No. Definitely not. So it does require research, and interestingly enough, I think the more that we're going into this, the more research we're starting to do. So that work is only good for you, for everyone listening to this, because it means that we realise that for us to provide high-level content, and we're growing with this with every episode, and we've got a long way to go, researching becomes important. We need to make sure that we keep it engaging, make sure that we have the most relevant information, because the rules, the stats, the science behind whatever we talk about changes. So it could be in a year's time we'll have a different conversation about something that was the same as this year. But science has stepped in and said there's a little bit more about neuroscience to share, etc., etc. So, yeah, I think the research is actually increasing, not decreasing. Yeah.
Definitely. And one of the things that I love, and it's something that, you know, when you were kind of selling the podcast idea to me and convincing me this was a good idea, was it's around sharing wisdom and being generous with that wisdom.
Hallelujah, yes.
When we were in the episodes that we've done about the networking events we've been at, around going in with open hands, because the more you are prepared to have openness and share, the more you are able to receive as well.
To get, you must give first. It's not the other way around.
Not at all.
If you want trust, give trust. And I think our podcast is a way of us giving trust.
It is.
We invite feedback and we're open to ideas. And I guess right now we're at that 50 episode mark. We would love to know what you would like us to talk about, because at the moment it's a bit, we're the ones coming up with ideas. But we would love it for you to send us a message somehow, whether it's on LinkedIn or on our website. There's forms, there's a chat bot, there's various ways to connect with us and to let us know what you'd like us to research and to talk about, to help share the learning. And that way we can all collaborate, which is our favourite word, funny enough, collaborate on what happens next with this podcast. That would be just fantastic. So we invite you, please give feedback and open us up.
And I think a while ago we mentioned that we'd love to start just bringing in some of your stories around what you've experienced in safety. So feel free to share those with us, and we'll set up a time to record those, and let's start sharing your learning as we build those into, you know, some bite sizes in the upcoming podcasts.
Absolutely.
And this one, I never thought I would ever say this, but I think we can officially acknowledge that we are podcasters.
Hell yeah. I have actually been saying that for a little while, but it's still like...
Oh, it still sits funnily with me.
It does. It's one of those things, you know, we all have our little things. And no, I think we can officially say, because there's a lot of podcasts out there, but actually it's still a growing industry. And 50 episodes is actually a big deal. There are those out there that have thousands, but that's not us.
No.
We're quite, what's the word I'm looking for?
Specific, unique.
Well, we're definitely unique. Let's run with that one. We are podcasters. That's what's important.
We are podcasters at this moment tailored to the safety industry.
Indeed. Or to those where safety is important. So in celebration of this wonderful milestone, here is a big thank you for your listening and keeping us motivated. And a cheer to the safety collaborators. Onwards and upwards and on to the next 50.
So thank you for joining us today. It's always lovely to have conversations that matter, and today to get to celebrate with you. Connect with us at safetycollaborations.com, where you will find the show notes for this episode and the links to all of our favourite and fun podcasts that we have shared with you today. Leave us a message on the chat and follow us on LinkedIn. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, help us spread the word by following us on your favourite podcast platform and share it with others who will grow and learn from the wisdom. Till next week, stay safe and stay well.